He was one of the flashiest action figures of the line, thanks to his vacuum metallized armor. And despite having only 2 appearances on the show, he went from guest villain to elected mayor of New York. Join me today as I explore the curious, ongoing story of the original Chrome Dome. Chrome Dome debuted in 1991 as an action figure that was immediately adapted for a primetime special of the Fred Wolf cartoon. According to the Playmate's bio, he was programmed to pulverize the turtles and came with a Servo Sai, Neutron Ninja swords, a Gigabyte Goopalon, and a Shogun sash. As you can already guess, Chrome Dome is basically a robot samurai with martial arts programming. While his flashy look was impressive, the action figure was the same scale as the turtles. The cartoon would make him 2 to 3 times the size of a turtle. As I mentioned before, the character debuted in the Planet of the Turtleoid special, the same story that introduced Groundchuck, Dirtbag, and other characters and vehicles. In that story, Shredder and Krang needed to break into a museum to steal a giant ruby they could use to refocus their new heat ray to finally free the Technodrome from its icy prison. Initially, they had a complicated plan that involved creating new mutants, which went sideways quickly when they accidentally created Groundchuck and Dirtbag and lost control of them. Shredder ordered Bebop and Rocksteady to find them, but the duo never had the chance. The New Mutants and the Turtles were aboard a spaceship, far from Earth. They weren't the only ones looking for mutants. April was also caught by surprise by the sudden disappearance of her friends, and the 3 crossed each other's paths. It occurred to Bebop and Rocksteady then to capture April as a way to set a trap for the Turtles. They tried baiting them through the Turtle comms, and that's how they realized that there was no signal at all. Almost as if the Turtles were finally gone. They somehow convinced the Shredder that Groundchuck and Dirtbag had actually succeeded in getting rid of them, which changed things for the villains. With their enemies out of the way, Shredder devised a new plan to use city resources for the most gigantic construction job in history. To do that, he needed a super intelligent robot to lead his soldiers through the construction of the Technodrome Mark II. This robot needed to be truly invincible, so Shredder gave him adamantium skin, the universe's strongest metal. Not even a bomb would be able to put a dent in him. Unfortunately, he ran out of adamantium in the end, just when he was about to cover his control panel. To Krang, this wasn't a real issue. Most of the robot was invincible, so a simple piece of steel would suffice. As long as no one knew where his weakness was, there would be no way to defeat him. But April, who was sneaking around the Technodrome, did know. April was already in a bad situation, even when she managed to escape. The Technodrome was in the middle of the North Pole. She only became more imprisoned once Chrome Dome went online and detected her sneaking around. Back in the city, Shredder put Chrome Dome in charge of the foot soldiers, ordering them to steal all the steel they could find and take it to Medium Park, where they would build the new mobile fortress. They finished it just in time for the return of the Turtles. Using the weapons in Kerma's ship, Donatello attacked the fortress, while the rest of the Turtles took April out of the machine's way. Shredder and Krang escaped before the destruction of the new Technodrome, but they left Chrome Dome behind to destroy the Turtles. Being almost invincible, the Turtles' weapons were ineffective against him. And to make matters worse, he was a good fighter too. Of course, April knew Chrome Dome's weak spot, and Donatello used that knowledge to make the robot blow up. A couple of seasons later, and tired of being ridiculed, the Shredder decided it was time for the most aggressive vengeance attempt. Coinciding with his plans of unearthing a buried intergalactic treasure, he rebuilt Chrome Dome and went out to recruit the Rat King, Slash, Leatherhead, Tempestra, Scumbug, and Anthrax. The sight of some of their worst rogues was too frightful for the Turtles. At the same time, the rogues realized that they needed to divide and conquer. Chrome Dome was paired up with Anthrax, who baited Leonardo by destroying the stock exchange building.
Talk about a stock market crash!
Despite his attempt to stop them, Leo was captured by the duo and taken prisoner with the other Turtles. Then, Chrome Dome set up a disintegrator that the Shredder gave to him for this moment. This device was capable of vaporizing the entire building, including the turtles. The Rogues started their trip back to the Shredder to claim their reward, but Chrome Dome was running low on power, so he deviated from the group. After a quick recharge, he was attacked by the Turtles' allies, who wanted to know the whereabouts of their friends. While they caught him alone, this didn't make him any less dangerous. He fought against Casey Jones, Zack, and Splinter. After seeing a hydraulic press, Splinter baited Chrome Dome to follow him there. When the robot was in position, Splinter ordered Casey to activate it, destroying the robot. They still needed to learn the Turtles' location, so Zack used a computer to interface with Chrome Dome's memory and finally got the information out of him. Thanks to this, they were able to save the Turtles just before the explosion. That same year, Chrome Dome made an appearance in the Super Nintendo version of Tournament Fighters. While the game isn't part of the cartoon's canon, it uses the same design, albeit with some adaptations. He entered the competition for a chance to purchase computers to extract his faulty programming and live in peace. After winning, Chrome Dome could be seen celebrating with a robot girlfriend. I wouldn't lose too much sleep trying to figure out where she came from. Among his signature moves, Chrome Dome had the Chrome Bomb, the Rapid Punch, the Body Slam, the Chrome Upper, the Piston Kick, the Electric Pile Driver, and the Chrome Spark. Many of his special moves in the game used electricity and explosions to defeat the opponent. The Chrome Dome action figure received a variant in 1995, this time metallized in blue, for the Warrior Wave. According to the packaging, Shredder's minions were dispatched to scatter the metallized Cowabunga coins, knowing they would create a pro-foot flux. Now going by the name of Warrior Chrome Dome, his only opponent was Warrior Metalhead Michelangelo, the only turtle who hadn't been wooed to evil by the Shredder's brainwashing. Aside from the colors, this release came with almost the same accessories as the 1991 edition. The only additional difference was the metallized Cowabunga collector's coin. As nostalgia for Turtle Mania began to influence the franchise, Chrome Dome began appearing in new video games like Mutant Madness in 2020 and Shredder's Revenge in 2022. His story wouldn't continue until 2023 in the pages of Saturday Morning Adventures. Given that the series takes place between the 7th and 8th seasons, it was able to continue from his last appearance. However, this time Chrome Dome was attempting to rule the city legally. During a mayoral candidate debate, Chrome Dome surprised everyone by announcing his candidacy for mayor of New York. Knowing there was nothing they could do, the Turtles trusted that Chrome Dome would eventually slip up. But after a whole week of Robomania, Chrome Dome ended up way ahead in the polls. So much so that the Turtles began to suspect he might really be running for mayor. Just to confirm, they decided to follow him to try to find out who reconstructed him and why. They saw him enter an abandoned building, and after spying inside, found him talking to their friend from TCRI, Professor McGuffin. It was McGuffin who rebuilt Chrome Dome, not knowing who the robot was. This happened after his last encounter with Splinter. His remains were brought to TCRI for study, and the professor couldn't resist rebuilding it, even improving his cognition. Thinking it would be a great publicity stunt to spread his ideas for improving the city, McGuffin sent Chrome Dome to announce his candidacy. This wasn't supposed to be a permanent thing, but now that Chrome Dome was so far ahead of the competition, McGuffin started realizing they could really turn New York into a utopia. Unfortunately, Chrome Dome's base programming was still evil, and now that it was mathematically improbable for him to lose the elections, he realized there was no point in pretending anymore. He would win and rule with an iron fist, figuratively and literally. After hearing this, the professor tried to deactivate him, without success. Seeing the situation getting too violent, the Turtles came to their friend's rescue. Chrome Dome realized during the fight that his weapon system had been deactivated, and that was when he also realized that he didn't need to fight them. Once elected mayor, he could order the police to hunt down the Turtles, making them ineffective as heroes. Given the popularity that Chrome Dome had achieved, the Turtles realized they couldn't attack a political figure, so they went to April to help them come up with a better plan. With Irma's help, April found a way to solve the situation, but they'd need to wait 2 weeks until election night. During his victory speech, April asked him live if it was true that he wasn't registered to vote. Chrome Dome confirmed this, promising to rectify it in the upcoming days. However, under election rules, he couldn't be a candidate unless he was a citizen registered to vote. This meant that he was ineligible, and the real winner of the night was the runner-up. Chrome Dome wouldn't accept losing by a technicality, and went into evil mode in front of the camera, explaining that he would then take the city by force. With his weapon system restored, he started attacking the crowd and the Turtles. After piling up on him, the Turtles immobilized him long enough for Donatello to insert a deactivation chip through a slot in his head. After this adventure, Chrome Dome's body was disassembled, and his pieces were sold at auction to a company named Ziff. After reassembling and upgrading him with new software, he was renamed Greg, which stood for Guardian Robot that excels at guarding goods. Ziff promoted their new security system, daring criminals to come try and steal their gold. This obviously caught the attention of both Bebop and Old Hob. The Turtles, worried about all that gold falling into the wrong hands, tried to stop them, but during the fight, Bebop attacked Greg, and the impact restored Chrome Dome's original programming, prompting it to immediately seek revenge against the Turtles. Since his helmet had been reinforced, it was now practically impossible for the Turtles to stop him. That is, until Donatello remembered that the floor had electromagnetic capabilities. After activating that system, Chrome Dome ended up stuck face down against the floor, giving the Turtles enough time to deactivate him. Chrome Dome had cameos during the Olympics as well, along with many other villains taken from different points in the timeline, but it's unclear at which point in his story this event took place. Since the Saturday morning adventures are still ongoing, you can bet that the character will continue making appearances in the book. Chrome Dome was created by Mirage artist Michael Dooney for the toy line. He was then turned into a figure by sculptor Alec McTurk and adapted into the cartoon by writer David Wise. According to David, the character was added to the primetime special only because he was a toy they needed to promote. There was no need for the character in that plot, and it could have been replaced with any other villain. He was voiced by Peter Renaday in the cartoon. Looking back at his complicated history, Chrome Dome is one of those villains who continually upgrade themselves, becoming increasingly dangerous as the story progresses. The character also received some love from both Super 7 and NECA. The NECA version in particular is huge, and one could assume that this release reignited interest in the character in recent years. Ironically, Chrome Dome wouldn't be the only villain in the Turtleverse to become mayor, but that's a topic for future videos. I'll also cover other versions of the character in future installments. What are your thoughts on this version of the character? Would you vote for the Foot Party? Where did his girlfriend come from? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the sewers.